Hi, I am Coach Eva M. Kennedy, and I want to continue our conversation today on authenticity. Today, I want to share with you some common obstacles that can keep us from being our true selves. Authenticity is very powerful, but it's not always easy. There are real challenges that can hold us back from being our authentic selves. There are three main obstacles that can prevent us from living authentically, and they are vulnerability, self doubt, and limiting beliefs and societal expectations. Today, we're going to begin with the first one, vulnerability. It's a challenge but once we embrace vulnerability, it can unlock our strength and freedom. I'll cover the other two in upcoming videos. Vulnerability is often misunderstood, though, and I can share with you that this was a big lesson for me to learn. For a long time, I was afraid to be vulnerable because I feared being judged. I thought that if people saw the real me, they may not accept me. But what I didn't realize was that I was holding myself back and hiding parts of myself that was actually preventing me from being truly authentic. Today, though, I focus on being the best version of myself, and that means expressing all of me, my strengths and my struggles and everything in between. It's been a journey, though, I can tell you that, but learning to embrace vulnerability has helped me step into my authenticity. I used to think vulnerability was a weakness, but vulnerability isn't a weakness. It's actually a courageous act of openness. Vulnerability means being willing to show up fully, sharing both our strengths and our struggles. But let's be honest, right? Vulnerability can feel like a real obstacle because it brings up some deep fears, including fear of judgment, fear of rejection, and fear of failure. And I can relate to all three. But let's explore these fears. First, there's fear of judgment. We tend to worry about what others will think if they see us as we truly are. So we end up hiding parts of ourselves that we think might not be good enough. And then there's fear of rejection. Opening up means risking that others may not accept us. And this fear of rejection can hold us back from being truly authentic. And then there's fear of failure. So many of us can relate to this one. Vulnerability also brings a fear of falling short of not meeting expectations. Many of us are afraid of failure to the point that it can paralyze us. We get stuck, in some cases, become afraid to move forward. These fears are powerful and they can make us hesitate to show up as our true selves. But here's the good news. Vulnerability can also be a doorway to true authenticity. Embracing vulnerability doesn't mean eliminating these fears. It means acknowledging them and choosing to show up anyway. So here's why vulnerability is so important for living authentically. Number one, it builds trust and connection. When we show up as our true selves, we invite others to do the same. And as a result, we foster deeper relationships built on trust and honesty. It also drives growth and empowerment. By allowing ourselves to take risk and step into vulnerability, we actually grow. Each act of vulnerability strengthens our courage and empowers us to live authentically. Now, here are a few ways to start embracing vulnerability in your life. First and foremost, acknowledge your fears. Start by identifying the fears that hold you back. Simply being aware of them is a powerful first step. Everything begins with awareness. Awareness is the first step to making changes in your life because you can't address what you don't see and acknowledge. Number two, start small. Vulnerability doesn't have to mean bearing your soul right away. You can begin by sharing a thought or feeling with someone you trust, maybe a close friend or family member. Small acts of vulnerability, like sharing something you've been struggling with or asking for advice or help, can help build your confidence over time. Another great example is expressing gratitude to someone. It may feel vulnerable to tell someone how much they mean to you, but it's a small, meaningful step. And another one is to practice self compassion. Remember, vulnerability isn't about being perfect. So be kind to yourself. Give yourself permission to make mistakes and grow. Be kind to yourself when you feel vulnerable. Self compassion helps you bounce back and keeps you grounded in your journey toward authenticity. Don't judge yourself. So many of us do that. Show yourself some grace. Thank you for joining me today as we continue to talk about vulnerability and its impact on living authentically. This is just the first of 3 obstacles I'll be covering. In my next videos, I'll dive deeper into the roles of self-doubt, limiting beliefs, and societal expectations. Remember this: authenticity is your superpower. Embracing vulnerability is the first step to unlocking that power. If this message resonates with you, please hit the subscribe button, leave me a comment below, and let me know how vulnerability shows up in your life. I'm Coach Eva M. Kennedy, and I'll see you next time as we continue this journey to authenticity.